we'll try this. I'm not sure if filming, baking, or cooking in the kitchen will be a good quality. It's, as you can tell, my kitchen's dark. The light overhead is the stove light, so it's kind of yellow, but I'm going to feed my starter, and I've got way more starter here than I really need. I think I'm gonna move it into this jar because it has some measurements on the side. This is a gallon jar, I think. I think it's a gallon. So I'm gonna measure out a cup. Well, actually, I think I'll do the flour first. So I'm gonna do a cup of flour and a cup of water to feed it. I'm a little late in feeding it. I wanted to feed it at like 7, but the kitchen was being used, and we're at 9:40 now, so. And if you want a faster rise, well, I guess this is a rise, right? You do equal parts of flour and equal parts of your liquid. We'll measure out a cup of this. I think there might be this is whole wheat flour. I don't tend to, that was the base of it when I made the starter. When I feed it now, I don't tend to feed it with the whole wheat. Sometimes I do if I feel like I'm missing or losing some of the, I don't know why I was using whole wheat. Well, one, I had the flour and I wanted to use it up. But I also think that it gets a little bit bubblier with whole wheat, and plus I have whole wheat red fife growing in the garden this year, so I really do want to maybe try using that. All right, and making some breads this year. I hadn't thought of that. I really was thinking that I was gonna feed the birds with it. All right. Oh, that's good and bubbly. Can you see? So I do this 12 hours before I'm gonna cook or bake it, I think, or mix it up, I should say, because then it's still gonna rise for another bit, depending on the recipe. I am going to make Amish sandwich bread. I've been making you know, the artisan breads in the loaf, and while it tastes good, the texture is off, and I'm not sure what's going on. Could be the wheat flour that I'm using. I have no idea. So we'll do that. We'll come back after 12 hours and I'll show you how I mix it up. While the sourdough starter is bubbling, we'll come out here and pick the peas. These are the king tut peas. You can eat them, the pods when they're young, or you can let them grow and shell them. I've eaten them both ways. I tried the peas the other night. They're not bad. They're not really sweet either. So I'm not sure that these are my go-to peas. I'm gonna rip these out too. They are done. It's funny, some of them grow green. I think those are the sweeter ones. I think that's it on these. Let's go to the other plants. I won't have to take these ones out. These plants still look good, and I'll let some keep growing. I kind of liked the idea that, you know, they were a pea that you could have multi-uses, you know, because you always have those peas that you come out and they've gone a little bit too far. So, I don't know. They taste okay. They don't taste terrible, but I don't think that I'm going to save any seed from them. We'll see. All right, let's see what we can make with them. All right, so the starter has just about doubled in size, and it's been 12 hours. So this is late in the evening, around 10:30, and we're going to mix the dough and do the bulk ferment. So I'm mixing a quarter cup of the sourdough starter and a cup and 2 tablespoons of water. That's the 2 extra tablespoons of water going in. And then the recipe says that you can use honey, maple syrup, or anything like that. I didn't have any of those on hand, so I just used regular sugar, a tablespoon. And this is just AP flour, nothing special. 4 cups of flour plus 2 tablespoons of whatever flour you want to use. But I have tons of AP flour right now. That's all-purpose flour. If you aren't familiar with baking, I say AP. I think there was some sugar stuck to the spoon, so I scooped that out. And then I'm going to just kind of incorporate that all. And while that's incorporating, I will add in the 2 teaspoons of salt. I like using a nice salt, like a pink salt, or this one is a sea salt, I think. I have a couple different really nice salts, and I like to use a really nice salt in my bread, but use whatever you have. If you just have regular table salt, that'll be fine. This is a mix that you just mix it and get everything incorporated, and it's gonna look what they call shaggy. It's not gonna be a smooth dough yet, so we're going to mix it and then just make sure that everything's mixed in mostly. There might still be some flour, you'll see later on. I do kind of mix that in, but then we're gonna let the dough rest for 45 minutes to an hour. I think I ended up doing an hour, and let that dough hydrate. And this is, I do end up mixing it by hand in the end because not everything's going to get incorporated. You'll see. And it's kind of stuck on the bowl here, so I'm going to go get a scraper. See how it's like really dry looking? So that's what this rest is for, just to let everything hydrate. I'm not sure that I really am liking mixing my dough here and kneading it at 10:30 at night, but we got a late start, as you remember. So I'm just going to put some plastic wrap on there and go watch some TV with my husband. And now that the dough has rehydrated, I'm going to put this on my stand mixer. I don't let it mix for the whole 10 minutes. Well, it's 8 to 10 minutes. I think I let the mixer mix it for about half the time, and then I don't think I ended up showing it here, but because the dough gets really stiffer and the mixer has a hard time, and I don't want to burn out the mixer's elements, so I do finish it up by hand, anywhere between 8 and 10 minutes of kneading. And I don't think that you can over knead. I always thought that you could, but I think this needed a little bit more, so this is where I am testing it, and it's just not, it's starting to get where you can pull it away and it's not breaking, so it still needs a little bit. I didn't end up showing it. I thought I recorded that. Just getting it into a bowl, trying to get it into a shape where the surface of the top round portion of the dough will be tight looking, and so I'm just trying to get it into that shape to rise in the bowl. It says this is a Pyrex bowl. I love this bowl. I got it for my wedding as a wedding gift, and it has a cover on it. I love using it for bread making. There, see, I'm just trying to get it that shape. Rub the top of it in the oil so it doesn't dry out. And I'm going to put the cover on, and I let it do a bulk ferment for 10 to 12 hours. This is the next morning. trying to get it. I need to figure out if anybody is a bread maker that watches this video. I struggle with that right there in creating that rectangular shape and not having the seams in the bread. Doesn't affect the taste or anything. I just had some this morning. Toast with jam from a local farm was delicious. But you see how you roll it? I can't, and it just breaks apart. I don't know how to get it to stick together. I don't know. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. I know I'm not doing something right. Like I said, tastes wonderful. This is going to sit in the pan and let it rise an inch above the pan rim. I found that that's going to take probably 3-4 hours. So just using a little bit of bacon grease. We're going to start the casseroles. We like to save the drippings from cooking, baking or bacon or anything like that, for, cooking up or using in the pan for our oils. And those are the carrots. I don't know that I had that on video, but those carrots and you can see the peas in there that we collected the day before. I had just stuck them in the bag with the carrots in the freezer because I knew that I wasn't going to get to them until the next day because the bread was, fermenting. And the potatoes are pretty small, so I just figured that I'd leave them with the skins on. I washed them really, really good. These are from the garden. This is the second harvest of potatoes. Each time I've had just about a pound. I've weighed them. They were just about a pound of potatoes, and I grow them in buckets. I have a video in my playlist of harvesting potatoes and how I grow them. I just figured just cutting them in half is, because they're so small. They're new potatoes. So yummy. We'll be having, I did end up making one bigger dish and one smaller dish. And I put the smaller dish in the freezer and kept out the bigger dish for later this week for a meal. And then one went into the freezer for maybe in another couple of weeks. So we'll just take it out and warm it up in the oven. Let's see. Oh, we're going to be cutting up chicken now. The recipe calls for 2 cups of shredded chicken. I think I had, it was a big package of like 8 boneless, skinless thighs, and I did have to do quite a bit of trimming, so yeah, the casserole portion is butter and onions and mushrooms. I didn't have mushrooms because I didn't grow mushrooms in the garden. Garlic, and last year I grew garlic and did a garlic salt with the scapes. I think I have a short on that. It's maybe onion salt, but it's the same process. I did it with garlic too. You can go take a look at that. Super easy. You just grind it up with a really nice coarse salt, either a Celtic salt or a kosher salt, something that's a canning salt that's got a bigger size, like a bigger gauge. I'm not sure what grit. I don't know. You figure out the term. And then I spread it out on a cookie sheet or something, where you can spread it out, and then just kind of like toss it around every couple of days. But I always kept doing it every time I went by it. I kept a little spoon or a spatula, and that way I was just breaking up bigger clumps and making sure everything was dry. And then I just put it in the little smallest canning jars with a top. And I found that the Parmesan cheese, the fake stuff that comes in the shaker bottle, those covers, when those containers are empty, fit on your mason jars perfect. So I use those, and I don't know if I showed it in here, but I did use that as the salt. Peppers, I didn't have any peppers, although I think I might have in the freezer. I just didn't look. I was just focused on getting the vegetables in from the garden. And heavy cream. Oh, the chicken broth. You had seen it in a I didn't mention it, but in a earlier clip when we were mixing up the dough, I had a small saucepan on the stove, and I was making vegetable stock. I keep vegetable trimmings in the freezer, and then when the gallon baggie gets full, or to a point where I'm like, I need more in the refrigerator, I just make up a stock. Generally it's vegetable because I don't have a lot of chicken carcasses or anything like that, so it ends up being mostly vegetable broths. And then I just keep them in canning jars in the refrigerator, and I use that a lot. And even starting cooking, especially if it's chicken broth or bone broth, because that has a little bit of fat in it, and I just put that in my pan to start sauteing stuff. So I like that. Adds flavor too. If you hear the little squeaks and the whistles of the chickens, I am out by the coop today recording. I like the little sounds that they make. Of course, sorry, I did hear a motorcycle go by earlier, so I can't help that. But for the most part, the yard is nice and quiet, and you can hear the birds, and I just thought that would be nice. This is vegetable stock that I made off camera earlier this morning. So I'm going to put in a couple cups of stock. Maybe a little bit more. The recipe calls for heavy cream. I don't have that, so I'm just going to use some milk. This is whole milk. The recipe didn't call for potatoes, but we harvested though. Well, these are second harvesting of potatoes. I've got 2 more out there in the garden. To thicken this up, we're gonna put in some sour cream. But the carrots I added in were from the garden. The peas were from the garden. So most of the vegetables here are from the garden. You can just add in what you got growing. Green beans would be nice in here. If you had some leftover corn from a meal or something like that. Anything, any vegetables. I'm gonna get some spices. Let's see, I want my Italian spice. I do wish I had a bigger kitchen, but the starch from the potatoes will also thicken this up. I'm just scraping the bottom. I think the potatoes probably will need more cooking time, but I'm not sure that I'm going to get those fully cooked. We'll just finish cooking them when we warm the meal up later on this week. They're mostly cooked. I think I can break this with a spoon. Yeah, I can. They're pretty soft actually. They weren't very big. All right, I gotta look and see how much sour cream I'm gonna be adding in. Looks like I'm gonna be adding in, well, the recipe calls for a 1/4 cup, but I'm making this recipe 3 times the amount. It's basically a chicken pot pie with the dropped biscuits on the top. The recipe says that it's a recipe for 2. We don't have all the family members here living at the home anymore, so that'll be perfect. I might not have any leftovers, but sometimes I don't want leftovers. But my husband might not eat this because of the biscuits on the top, but that I would really like it to be a little thicker. I think if I used cream, it probably would be a tiny bit thicker, but I'm going to go get some flour and sprinkle that in there and make it a little bit thicker. Two should be enough. 2 tablespoons. Oh yeah. That's better. I've turned the heat off of this, so I splattered myself. It's hot. I did put salt and pepper in this. I don't remember if I filmed that. That may have been off camera. I did heavy on the pepper because I like lots of pepper in my white sauces. All right, now we're gonna make some biscuits. The bread's rising. It's not quite it's even. Now it has to be an inch over the rim. So I'll check it in another hour. I'm gonna get the kitchen cleaned up and then we'll get going on the biscuits. All right, we checked on the bread and it was now risen about an inch over the rim. So I'm going to set the oven, or actually I think I already set the oven, and I'm going to turn it down to 375. So you preheat the oven at 350, and then when it gets up to temp and you're putting the bread in, you turn the oven down to 375, which now I'm doing that, I guess. Oh, so I was setting it, preheating it, and now we're turning it down. And then the bake time said 40 to 50 minutes, and I ended up doing just 40 minutes, turning it halfway through to make sure that it was an even bake, and that was perfect. So now we're going to be making the biscuits. AP flour, baking powder, sugar, salt, butter, milk, the basic recipe that's on the back of that baking powder can. I love that recipe. It works great. So I think I only halved it because we're only doing a small batch. And the pan over there on the other burner, that's Basil's dog food. I make him food about every 4 days. If you guys are interested in how I make dog food, I certainly can do that too. He loves it. He hasn't complained yet. And I had a pastry cutter somewhere, but for the life of me, I could not find that thing in any of my drawers. And so I was using a fork, but I was struggling getting that butter cut in, and I think I found some bigger pieces that should have been cut up a little bit better, but I'm sure they'll taste just fine. And then you just put it in dollops on top of you don't have to roll them out and cut them. I mean, unless you wanted to, but you don't have to. And that's the smaller pan that I ended up putting in the freezer. After I get this recorded, I'm going and planting the last of the tomatoes that I have to plant in pots on the backside that's what the bread looks like. It looks beautiful and it tastes wonderful. I had some this morning. I think I already mentioned that, but it was great. Mid-July, and I still haven't planted out all my crops. So, such is life. And then I got to get this turned out onto this cooling rack, so I take it right out of the vessel that I bake it in, because I don't want it to get gummy in the middle. I'm not sure if that really is a thing, but I want to get it out and get cooling. And the next step is to get some really good butter brushed on it. I mean, and if you only had margarine, that would be fine. That putting butter on it keeps the crust soft. you know, because you want a softer crust for your sandwich breads. So, and plus it adds extra flavor, which is yummy. And I've also heard that you shouldn't slice into bread before 2 hours. So here's the end results, and I hope that you have sunshine where you are.